Welcome to the Mise-en-Scene Weekly podcast, where we harken back to our college debate days and pick two movies, yes, you've heard that right, of the same theme to clash like killer whales and sharks and sand being beaten up by waves. This week's episode is focused on what's behind me, the beach, everyone's first love, and roosters, if you can possibly hear them, where we are going to debate which movie is the best beach movie. And I have lost a lot of my voice, so you're going to have to bear with me, Stephen, and anyone who is actually listening to this, the six of you. It's going to be a fun time. But with that being said, welcome to our world. And I've skipped a little bit, but let's get into it.
That's great. No, it looks like you're in paradise right now. Where exactly are you?
I'm sweating. That's where I am. I don't know where you are. You look like you're in an air-conditioned room of sorts. I am sweating and trying my best to not die. We've been sitting at a wedding, nice Pakistani wedding for a good friend of mine named Uzair, and we're in St. Thomas. And it's been an endeavor, I would say, but a lot of fun. We've had the wedding yesterday. The day before was a Mindy. Today we had a barbecue beach party. It's been a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, your voice sounds like it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've just been screaming at people through loud music, and I now can't do anything but, I guess, talk very, very poorly. Strangely, the Caribbean food is, a little disappointing, to say the least.
Okay, what have you eaten?
Nonetheless, I had a lobster that was overcooked just a second ago.
Okay, yeah, overcooked lobster is not ideal.
But you know what is ideal?
What's
Beach
that?
movies and beaches.
That's true. You said beaches are the first love. How do you get to that point? Confused.
So your first love is I would hope that you didn't have a first love as a significant other at the age of 3 or 4, 5, whatever that might be for you or the other people who are watching. To me, my actual first love, I like soccer. Soccer pretty much was the sport, and running around and playing with cars and stuff like that. But the beach was like the first moment of my life where you look at the beach and you're like, this makes sense. And I think it makes sense for pretty much everybody, in the sense of this is, allegedly, we came from animals, from the sea, fish. And so there's this innate nature to us that you jump into the water, your blood pressure goes lower, you become very calm, cool, collected, and also the sound of the waves itself, and long walks on the beach. Do you like long walks on the beach?
It's not
what that matter.
I like long runs on the beach. Those are my go-to. What are you drinking?
It's a Caribbean beer.
Okay.
And it's quite delectable. I as you know, I'm a big fan of the Guinness varieties, if you will, or I just should say Guinness entirely. And Guinness on the beach is it's a bad choice when it's like 90 degrees, humid, and there's like bugs around you. By the way, I might be smacking myself for
I've never seen a Guinness commercial where they're perched up on a beach, cracking open a couple Guinnesses. Like that's Corona, but that's not Guinness.
Yeah, I have had some Coronas as well. But nonetheless, I think a lager is pretty much the way that you actually should be like presenting yourself to the public and your gullet, if you will. But anyway, we almost didn't have this podcast. You had to take care of other motives and other items, but here we are, a little later in the day than desired, but we probably going to work out a little better. But with that said, we have two movies, all related to the beach. I have chosen The Beach movie with Leonardo DiCaprio from 2000. And you have chosen what?
I've chosen Point Break. And you know what's kind of funny with these two movies? Like when you're trying to do a lot of research with them, the titles are very like, your title is just very general, The Beach. Yeah. And Point Break, I get a lot of tennis references and tennis things like when I'm searching for things. So it's one of those, like, I had to really be specific on what I needed to pull up.
Yeah, The Beach is like, which beach are you talking about? The Beach? And then everyone has their own The Beach. And then everyone has their own The Beach movie. So it's like, yeah, that's difficult. I can see why that would be mind-numbing, to say the least.
So
by the way, I'm wearing a Orlando Magic jersey, which I felt was very beach-like. Since I've been wearing this for, I probably shouldn't tell you how long. But it was my brother's in 1992. I think he bought it. Yeah, 92 when Shaq first started playing for the Orlando Magic. when I was 11 years old. Big fan, and I haven't worn it since a few weeks ago. Look at me,
Yeah, I don't
30
see
years
you wearing
later.
too many NBA jerseys, but hey, it fits the locale of where you're at.
The
I got
vibe.
the vibe. Yeah, I got mine at a local surf shop in Malibu just a couple days ago. You can
did you
kind of
rela- did you go to the place specifically for this shirt
yeah.
and to wear it for this podcast?
There's this guy named Bodie. He's the owner, kind of older guy, a little banged up,
No.
but yeah, he's pretty nice. Always very
Was it
like just very kind of like a Buddhist kind of Zen vibe that he gave me. It was nice.
was it Bodie or Brody?
Oh, it was Bodie. Yeah, I
It was
think I'm pretty
Bodie.
sure. Yeah, pretty
Do you have
sure.
his business card?
I have his T-shirt. It's Bodie's surf shop.
Even better.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the beach, and I would imagine, like I said, I'm probably going to be bitten up here. I sprayed some off on me, but the first night we had a lack of off, and boy, was it a bit of a disaster to say the least. But anyway, it's paradise to some extent. Bear with me with my voice.
I don't
I'll do my
get
best.
bitten too much by like mosquitoes and things like that. It doesn't come
Not
for me.
mosquito. Yeah, so the vitamin B allegedly is the precursor to why you would be bitten. Is that a white cocoa?
It is. Yeah, yeah. We're doing it.
How does that taste?
Tastes delectable. It's very cold too. It's very
But
cold.
well done, well done. Ice cold, hopefully. You can even put it in the freezer and take it out and sip away. My
I'm
favorite.
sure you've done that.
I have many times. I have it twice a week. I have it after 3 times a week. Long runs, workouts. And by the way, long runs and workouts here, 90 degrees or 85 with humidity and hills that are, I don't even want to say undulating. They're just like, how steep can we possibly go? Terrible. But nonetheless, we're at the beach and here we are.
We were at the beach. We were going to do Batman. So people that listened to our last episode, we were hyping that up, but that fell through. So we had to pivot, and we pivoted to what where you're at.
And we almost had to pivot again. But with that being said, we were going to do Batman. We were going to have our first guest who I can actually see probably about 25 feet away from me. But things didn't align. He didn't have enough time to A, watch the movies, and B, get a pre-approval, if you will, from his company. But nonetheless, he will
That's
be a
okay.
guest in the future, and we will actually be doing Batman at some point. So there will be a Batman versus Batman Begins if anyone is anticipating
Yeah.
the future.
What other beach movies did you consider on this topic?
I chose a variety. Point Break actually was going to be of like a top three. So it was a Point Break, it was The Beach, or it was going to be Jaws. What about you?
I'm kind of right there. Like Jaws was right there. But Point Break was always going to be my pick. Like I love the beach. I hadn't seen the beach in gosh, probably like 15 years or something like that. So it was kind of
Yeah,
almost like a new watch for me. But yeah, it was going to be Point Break for me all the way.
I could watch.
Or Castaway. I was thinking about Castaway.
Yeah, yeah. I watched Castaway recently. I haven't seen The Beach in a long period of time, but I did watch. I actually haven't seen Point Break. Man, I haven't. You've seen Point Break recently, but of course, but like I haven't seen Point Break in probably 20 plus years.
Oh wow,
And boy,
I'm excited to hear
boy,
your
does it
thoughts.
it holds. Like it
It holds.
shockingly it holds.
It
I was
does.
like, there's no way. There's no way that this movie, what, 1991. There's no
Yeah,
way this
91.
movie is gonna hold. Yeah. But
It's a good
anyway,
flick.
who's gonna go first? What are we gonna do
I'll
here?
go first. How about that? I'll go
Okay,
first.
all right.
Yeah.
Save my voice at least temporarily until we ruin the podcast with me talking later. But go
Yeah.
on.
All right. So what are we talking about? Point Break. It's a 1991 film directed by Catherine Bigelow, starring
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey, and Lori Petty. 24
great
million at the
cast.
box office. It is a great cast. 83.5 million total run. So I think it made money. It did pretty well. Rotten Tomatoes, 69%. So it is certified fresh.
Okay.
Audience gave it a 79%. I think it's gained more of a cult following over the years because just how people kind of like realize that this is actually a really good action film with a good story. But anyways,
What is certified fresh in Rotten Tomatoes? I mean, not that we should be promoting some other brand, but like,
yeah,
what is a certified fresh? I don't even know. I mean, it seems like
60% or better.
60%.
Yeah.
Seems like you're just like trying to get a D average on your exams, and just that's fresh. Doesn't seem very fresh.
Yeah, but people aren't rating that it D. So it goes to the point that like
Sure,
60% of the
that's
critics like it, kind of thing. So more than half, more than whatever.
fair point.
Uh,
But how anyway? Yeah, we can decipher that later.
there was a remake to this movie, and I looked at the Rotten Tomato score. I think it got 11%. So it's one of those things. Like, do these movies
Do
need to
what?
be remade? Like, what are they
Point
doing?
Break. Point Break doesn't need to be remade, but there's a lot of movies that are actually being replicated over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, Les Miserables, for example, the remake of Les Miserables was, oh my god, astoundingly horrendous. It's so much so that and we're getting off topic already, but like so much so that I actually watched it
Which
and
one? Which
was
one are
like,
you talking about? The one with Hugh Jackman?
that's the one. And with
Oh,
Anne
I
Hathaway,
love
I think
that movie.
awful, so terrible.
It
And so
was
basically,
great.
the original with Liam Neeson is terrific.
Haven't
And
seen
so
that one.
I was just waiting, and I've seen it on Broadway like probably 10 times. My favorite Broadway play, but I was just waiting and waiting for like a word to be uttered that was not a sung word, and I was like, this whole movie is just singing.
Yeah. Well,
Why do you have
you
a whole
sound
movie of
you
singing?
sound even more highbrow than people that say like, I read the book, but what I went to the Broadway play many many times.
No,
Okay.
it's like if you were to talk to me in this podcast and all you did was sing.
Oh, we should do
Wouldn't you
one of
want
those
to?
episodes. That would be great.
Wouldn't you want a moment to be like, can you just pause for a second, take some breath, and think and collect your thoughts? Like you don't have to like have this like even in Broadway they're talking and then they pause to sing.
I'll have to watch your Liam Neeson version because I like the Anne Hathaway, Hugh
You
Jackman.
might,
Yeah.
you might. I don't know why. I think you're wrong, but you should continue on with your Point Break
So
spiel.
yeah, Point Break. It's a beach movie. It's also a lot of other things. It's a buddy cop movie. It's a surfing movie. It's it's an action film, and boy, I mean, it, it's one of those things. Like it's one of those like elevator pitches where you're like, okay, hear me out. It's going to be a criminal underground of these bank robbers, but
Yeah,
they're surfers and they moonlight as bank robbers just to pay for their surfing expedition. And we're going to have
yeah, yeah,
Keanu
yeah.
Reeves and Ducey and all this. So, I mean, basically, yeah, the plot is Point Break is an
Just
adrenaline. Go ahead.
No, it's an adrenaline junkie type film where basically you have these surfers who are like, yeah, bro, we care about like taking down big corporate, entities, and basically they just rob local banks to feel better about themselves, that they're doing better for the society of the mentality that they have, kind of like a Buddhist mentality to some extent, but also, like, I mean, it's an absolutely ridiculous thought process, but a lovely one that you honestly get totally on board with. And you're like, yeah, that they should continue robbing banks and continue like traveling the world because this seems like a dream.
See, I mean, they robbed what was it like 30 banks over the past 3 years, and
Yeah,
they never got caught because they didn't go into the vaults. They took the cash drawers. That was the
yeah.
plan. In and out in 90 seconds. And I love the idea of what they wore for their masks as the ex presidents. That was brilliant. It was actually first of all they were going to be doing the dead presidents, and it got changed actually by James Cameron because he oversaw the script. He was married to Catherine Bigelow at the time,
Yeah.
who was also making T2 at the same time as well. Like, but
Ooh.
yeah, this came out 2 weeks after T2,
Wow, that's wild.
and
I had no idea.
they were married at the time. Well, then James Cameron, I believe, cheated on her and started what Linda Hamilton. Anyways, um, this movie opened fourth at the box office. T2 was
What?
number yeah, it opened up fourth at the
What
box
were the other
office.
two?
So it was T2 in its second or third week. Um, number three, because number two is just ridiculous. Number three was Boys in the Hood.
Oh my
And
god.
number 2 was a Disney re-release that made 10.5 million.
What was the like what?
A
Fantasia?
101 Dalmatians.
Wait a second. How what happened to the first release of 101 Dalmatians, and why did it do poorly, and or why would this even do well after? I have too many questions about this. This
I
is
don't know.
ridiculous. I don't know what's
It's
happening. I'm getting bit up in my face by these little mites right now. You just have to again smack me. They're very powerful. I was going to do this inside, but nonetheless, the weird fourth for Point
4th, yeah.
Break, a movie that is just so centered around bro culture and clearly surfing and surfing and surfing and the beach and the beach and the beach to be fourth. That's wild.
Yeah. It's
That's a
wild.
good little tidbit there.
Yeah, so, yeah, we got Johnny Utah, right? It's played by Keanu Reeves. He's fresh out of Quantico. Um, and one of your, rain sequences to start, how did you feel about that rain sequence, by the way? Because we know that you have hot takes on that.
Thank you for that. I actually legitimately enjoyed that rain sequence.
Okay, all right, good,
Yeah, yeah, like,
good.
and then I hated myself for liking it because I was like, "Is this actually a good rain sequence?" But I was like, "This is terrific, actually." Um, it was a little too thick. It was, seemingly unrealistic, but so was the Matrix, and that pulled it off swimmingly. But I actually really did appreciate the opening scene, but in the splashing of the
The
waves,
splashing, yeah.
where it was just like
It
it
was
was
like one
so
of
good.
yeah.
And secondly, Johnny Utah should have been a man from Texas or a boy from Texas who grew up. All his father told him how to do was play football. Like that's who I think of Johnny Utah.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of, like, Johnny Unitas and Joe Montana, and they're like, "Johnny Utah," and that was
Yeah,
the the idea. But he was an Ohio State, all conference quarterback, who hurt his knee and went into Quantico, and he's in Quantico, or he graduates from Quantico, and he gets put in the LA office, and he's young and dumb, and you don't know the rest. Full of all right, whatever. One of my favorite quotes.
no, I don't know the quote. Can you finish it?
But I will later. Anyways, there's this older cop, Gary Busey, right?
Yeah,
They've noticed this string of bank robberies that have been happening by the ex presidents. You got Ronald
right.
Reagan, Carter, Nixon, and they're all kind of like also doing impersonations of that because they're just having a blast with it.
Yeah.
But in and out in 90 seconds, nobody can solve the case. But Gary Busey has this theory. I mean, it's a outlandish theory, but he's like, "Hey, they're only going into these banks at this time of the year, and I saw on the camera that one of the guys mooned him, and he has like this tan line. I think they're surfers, man."
Yes. I love like it almost feels like an 80s movie where it's or a little progressive 80s movies where anything that's illogical can catch or like make sense.
Yeah,
This is one of those moments. It was like his butt, and it said "thank you," like printed. Like I don't know, I don't know. Was it lipstick or something
who knows?
on his butt? And the tan line set him apart here. And he's like, "They have to be surfers." And then the sex wax, of
That's
course.
a big
That makes
jump.
this.
That's a bit. Well, yeah, the wax maybe, but like
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
big
big
jump,
jump in the sense of like if you're near an ocean, that might be half the people that you're looking for.
right?
That have
Yeah.
tan lines or more or a lot more, but nonetheless.
So Keanu gets to go undercover as he plays himself Johnny Utah because nobody knows that he's an FBI agent, right? And
Yeah.
they're trying to find these surfers and infiltrate and things like that. And Johnny does not know how to surf, so he meets this girl at a restaurant, Tyler, played by Lori Petty, who, by the way, Lori Petty, uh, she had never surfed before, but she had actually never been in the ocean before this film.
Wow. She doesn't know how to swim?
I don't think so. I mean, she
Mm,
learned. They spent
just
like
in
2 months.
pools.
Who knows? Yeah, but she never
Do you
been
know
in
how
the
to
ocean.
swim?
Oh, I swim very well. Yeah, I like fish in water.
You're like a fish in water? Like what kind
Hmm.
of fish?
Probably like one of those like tunas, big old tuna.
A tuna, like a bluefin tuna?
Yeah.
Huh.
What about you?
Wow,
What are you?
that's I'm like a human in water. I would say I swim faster than you. Definitely. There's a 100% certainty of that. As we've raced before. As didn't you swim in high school?
I was on the swim team for about 3 practices.
I just remember beating you very badly when we competed.
I think I
That's
had like a sore arm that day. It just you were at, I was at a disadvantage, Jonathan. Let's just
what is the first moment you think of when you think of the beach? I mean, maybe you don't remember the first time you went to the beach. And if you have that moment in your head when you were like 19, and that was the first time at the beach, considering the fact you lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but you moved to Hawaii, first moment at the beach. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was when I was a kid visiting my grandparents in Jacksonville, Florida. We went to St. Augustine, and it was at that time like St. Augustine, you could drive your car on the
Yeah.
beach and just park it there. And I thought that was really cool because you can't do that at most beaches. It's like not a thing, but at St. Augustine you could. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and I just remember, I mean, yeah, just the little waves that right when you get in, like it was
Yeah.
just it was pretty cool. What about you?
Um, Frankly, I am surprised by your answer, and my answer is quite literally identical to yours. I
Oh,
My first beach was also St. Augustine Beach when I was a kid, and we drove onto the beach, and I remember those small waves, and I remember sitting in like the surf and just going from ankle to knee to hip, water and the
yeah,
waves. But it was St. Augustine and driving. Some people got stuck from time to time, but nonetheless, St. Augustine Beach was my first beach. That's hilarious. I had no idea about that about you.
that's funny. Yeah, I heard that they stopped the driving on the beach because like there was somebody like laying down suntanning and somebody like rolled over them, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta stop this." Uh,
Maybe they should make like a road, a drive. Anyway, that seems reasonable to not allow cars on the beach. Let's be honest, though. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
park elsewhere. Yeah,
Um, so yeah, we got Lori Petty. She's teaching uh, Johnny Utah how to surf, and he's not very good at it, but he picks it up. But Bodie, this guy right here, Patrick Swayze, he knew how to surf before. He actually was also big into skydiving. He like that was like a hobby of his, and he felt a real connection with the character Bodie because he's like we kind of both live life on the edge. And Patrick Swayze's coming off like a streak of movies, man. Like this is he just did Ghost. He did what do you think about Ghost?
sorry,
Ghost is
I
great, right?
don't know. I don't know. I'd have to. I haven't seen it in a very long period of time, but I just think with all of like the Family Guy remakes or like the satirical like context to it, it seems hilarious. And I think watch Point Break. I was questioning whether or not this was going to still be good. It was still good, but Ghost, I don't know if that's going to be good. So in terms of coming off good movies or coming off of, I don't know the exact wording you said, but maybe not so great that one.
Roadhouse, Dirty Dancing. I mean, he was at the top of his game when this came out. And I think this after this, he didn't do too much until like Donnie Darko was like heralded as a great film. But anyways, um, so yeah, he meets Bodie. Bodie is this like surfer kind of cult leader, wouldn't you say? Um, he's
Definitely.
he's got his tribe of surfers, and he's really well respected in the surf community. And he takes a liking to Johnny Utah, and kind of invites him into his crew. And
Yeah, I mean they were playing football on the beach, and Johnny Utah basically showed him up. And he was like, all right, we're gonna be boys from here on out." It's just a
yeah,
typical man thing, I would say.
some people have this movie pegged as homoerotic, kind of like a Top Gun kind of idea, but I don't see it. I mean, I, what I see
How is it
is
homoerotic?
just the relationship between Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, and kind
They're
of like
friends. They get along. Oh,
Yeah,
because they're sharing the same girl? Like what's happening? I don't understand. Which
maybe I don't. People have ideas of like the last fight scene on the beach and everything like that. But anyways, I think it's more of a female gaze kind of movie, especially with Catherine Bigelow as the director. She is an amazing director, by the way. Obviously, we know her Academy Award win for uh,
the
gosh, why
Hurt
am I
Locker?
blanking? Right, Hurt Locker. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, which also I think was the same year as James Cameron's Avatar, so she kind of got the last laugh on that.
Wow, that's
When,
fantastic. I didn't know they came out in the same year. That's great.
yeah, yeah, but
Fuck
she
that movie.
we'll do
Avatar,
it.
to be clear.
We'll do Avatar
I like
sometime.
Avatar, but fuck that movie.
um,
Seriously.
but this,
He re-released Avatar to get like the highest box office.
yeah, because he
Like
can.
for inflation. Like
Yeah,
he re-released Avatar to get the highest inflation. Like it just go fuck yourself. Like how dare you? Anyway, I like him, but it
I
just
will. I wish. I
that
wish
move is
he.
bullshit.
I wish he wasn't like stuck in this. Like I have to make 5 sequels to Avatar and not make anything new again.
Yeah.
Like,
Make a Terminator that's actually good.
yeah, exactly. Like I don't
Or
know.
maybe
But
you should
anyways,
go into a sub that actually works. Sorry, that's too soon. Yep,
yeah.
that's getting me
Um,
canceled.
no, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, Keanu Reeves. I think this is definitely a female gaze. Like the camera has that kind of eye towards the men of this film, because most films you don't. I mean, female directors at the time weren't very prominent, and this was a big
Yeah.
movie for a female director. And even today, like I mean, it's more and more like I think the last big female director was either Wonder Woman or the
Mm.
Eternals, but those are like superhero properties and things like that already have kind of a
Yeah.
built-in fan base. Um,
It's a
but yeah,
very
this
good
is a
point. Yeah, outside of Catherine, like, there's not a lot of, especially in this venue or this type of genre. There's I would say none
yeah.
besides herself. Yeah,
I mean, you got Greta Gerwig that just like killed it with
yeah,
Barbie.
but yeah, but that's different. It's a different genre. Like she's direct. Like The Hurt Locker, for example, is a great example of a movie that, like, if you did not know when you were sexist or not sexist, you would probably anticipate that person who was directing as being a man. And the same with Point Break, I would say. And I think
Yeah,
that's a lovely take. And I also think that Pedro Almodovar could have the inverse of that, in that you watch his films, you're like, a woman had to have directed this movie.
exactly. Like
You know
if
what
you
I mean?
showed somebody him like
Yeah,
3 films of his and said,
yeah.
what do you think about this director? And be like, she's
Like a
great.
woman. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I just I love how there's anyway, go on with your bad self. But I really appreciate her and what she does.
Yeah, she can direct a movie, man. She can direct some crazy action sequences. Some of my
Yeah.
favorite in this film, like when I first saw this movie, and the scene where Johnny Utah jumps out of the plane without a parachute.
Yeah.
How did she film that, man? Like
I don't
it's
think she
wild.
filmed it, but she definitely directed somebody to film it. But
Yeah,
it's were there I mean, was that Kiana
yeah. Keanu Reeves jumped out of the plane without a parachute in in the movie. I mean,
in in real
I,
life?
I don't think it was real. No, that would be insane. I
He's
I
not
don't
a
know.
Tom Cruise?
Right. Um, but yeah, I mean,
It's
even
wild.
the scene like with the like taking like little things like the lawnmower and making it a dangerous, like edge of your seat kind of like what's going to
Yeah.
happen here. So
What do you think was gonna happen?
he was going to get a pretty close shave.
Also in 1991, I remember I used to cut lawns in 1991. Those the lawnmower that existed in 1991. You hear the roosters, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh, it was those are not the lawnmowers that existed. Like those at least 20 to 30 years old.
Yeah, that
That
was an old
that
one.
old pegged one. But the
I had a
edge.
self-propelled one, which is great. Like I
Me
could just
too.
press this thing and it just kind of
Yeah,
go. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it
I
got
mowed a
crumped
lot
up.
of
And
lawns
did
as a
you?
kid. I did, yeah.
I
Even
had
my
I had a
even my
company called
neighbors.
the Green Machine, and I would mow my neighbor's lawns.
They charge the money, right?
I would charge them money. Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
good. I
I
didn't
would. I
know if
wouldn't
you.
create a. I wouldn't create a name of a company, the Green Machine, to not charge people money. Like I'm just handing out free flyers here. I'm also handing out free grass cuttings. Like what are you talking about? What is happening?
Young entrepreneur John. I like Jonathan. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, the action scenes in this movie are great. The characters are really well defined. I mean, even like Gary Busey as this older older cop that is kind of being coached a little bit by Keanu Reeves in the film, like or being pushed by him at least. Like he's
Yeah.
pushing
Yeah.
him to follow through and do better.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a fun watch. I thought the final scene again in the rain, where they're fighting on the beach, and it's uh it's just a great scene. And what I heard from the writer of this film, he kind of thought of it as like a samurai's death, where
Oh wow.
you
Yeah.
you you pay him that last respect, and you respect him till the end, and let him go. Do you think Bodhi survived that last wave?
I don't want to answer. I must don't want to answer this. I mean, it's a fun endeavor to think about, but by the waves themselves, and knowing that I've tried to surf waves that were that equal, not equally as high, but like somewhat as high. I think so. I think he would survive, and I think he probably would be taken to jail after that. And I'm curious as to the fact: have you ever gone surfing in your life?
I think the answer to that question. Yes, yes, I
Oh, you
have been
have.
surfing. Yeah, I have.
Where was your favorite um, time to surf with me?
Uh, well, there's actually only been one time, Jonathan, and I will tell this
Oh
story. I'll go
God,
ahead.
yeah. And
Uh,
before you tell the story, I loved the fact, and I almost want to bring like this quote back, or this saying back. Diddly squat was said in the movie, and I was like, I haven't heard that in a bit. Like, so my wife hears these things, and she's Korean American, but she hears these sayings and loves to repeat them ad nauseum, which I find hilarious.
is that one of
But
them?
like,
Diddly squat.
diddly squat's one of them. It's so funny to me. She's like, diddly squat, yes. But it was said in this movie, and it made me laugh hysterically because like she repeats it ad nauseum. But I have a first, we need to bring back diddly squat. Second, I haven't seen somebody in a movie other than like somebody driving who flicks another person off. And I was thinking about you because you get very angry road rage all the time. And I
What?
was I was curious I was curious, do you ever, when you're getting your angry road rage, flick people off, or like what do you do?
Um, I typically have a person in the back, not like a Uber rider or anything like that, but they do it for me, and they roll down the window, usually with two hands because I'm driving, and I don't 10 and 2 all the time. But I usually have that person in the back just for when I get those sudden outbursts of road rage. Yeah,
So you have a human, or is it like a doll that it's like a,
it's half and half,
inflatable?
Jonathan. It's like
So it's your
when
girlfriend that's all a doll that also flicks people off. I got it. I got you. I hear you.
uh, there's some inflation that has to go on in there, but
I have a friend, David, won't say his last name, but you know who you are. In New York City, he actually likes to, when walking on the sidewalks of New York City, he gets impatient. Very intelligent person, gets impatient with people though, but he's a very nice human being. Maybe this doesn't sound like he's a nice human being after I tell the story, but after people, cross him in bad ways, also on the sidewalk, he'll turn around and flick them off, which I find hilarious. Like I find that so funny. Like you would just like wait. Like if I'm mad at somebody, you know me, I'm gonna be like, I'm mad at you, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm mad at you, and I'm not gonna just wait till you turn around. You can't see me to tell you that I'm mad at you. Um, but I was curious. Have you ever flicked somebody off before?
Yeah, I did one time, and I will never do it again. I was I was driving home from work one night. I was working at FYE, which is For Your Entertainment. It was a music and CD store back in the early 2000s. And I was driving on the back roads through Hiram, Georgia, and this car in front of me, it was like a 2-lane road, and this car in front of me was just driving so slow. And this is like late at night. This is like 11 p.m., right? And like I
Right.
literally like, whatever. I'm going to the other lane, and like I just like flick him off, which I never do, but I was just mad. I was like, I need to get home, blah blah blah.
See,
I'm
your road
tired.
rage.
There's my road rage, yeah. And it was this car full of kids, and then they started basically like hightailing it after me, super
Wait,
super fast.
wait.
Yeah, and
So they're coming to kick your ass
basically, yeah, it was just me,
with
and
with their parents or just like them kids.
it was just like high school kids. Yeah,
Oh my god. Yeah, you
no,
you
it
you
got to a
messed up.
point where they like almost ran me off the road, and then they got in front of me and made me slow down, and then they all got out of the car to come after me, and I just like that's when I just like I don't care if I'm running them over or not, and I just swerved out and just I got away. Thankfully.
I thought jokingly that you were actually saying like I'm never going to flick somebody off again, but I understand now why that you would not want to flick somebody off. By the way, speaking of flicking people off and ridiculous things that people do while angry on the road, the gas flamethrower scene was I don't even know, like it's hilarious but amazing.
Yeah.
Cuz like I don't know if that's I mean, I guess it's hilariously amazing, but I don't know what would happen. I feel like if you were to light that on fire, it would just blow shit up. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but I have no idea. Just it was
I mean,
ridiculous.
that's why we had that show Mythbusters, and they actually they tested a few things out in this movie. One of them being, can somebody jump from a airplane and catch somebody, um, you know, through the air? And it was a 90-second time frame. And apparently, you can't free fall for 90 seconds. It's physically impossible. Like you will splat, hit the ground. That's what
That's
they
not
said.
true. Felix Bermhalter, what's his name? That jumped from basically space. He definitely did it for
Yeah, I mean,
well over 90 seconds.
if you're jumping from, but the typical like launching point of a plane where you're jumping out of, it's not possible.
I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic, but I will tell you, Felix did it for more than
Okay,
90 seconds.
all right. Um,
What? By the way, what was your favorite quote from this movie? If you had one or two or three, maybe even
I have a
five.
couple I'll play. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's one right now.
There you go. Can't have you walking through those doors with your dick in your hand, right?
I can't do this.
Sure you can. Who knows? You might like it. It's a killer rush.
Bodie, this is your fucking wake-up call, man! I am an FBI agent!
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
Oh
It's
yes,
so
Kiana
ridiculous.
just selling it. It's kind of like when somebody like I've had this before where somebody like is frustrated or yelling and they basically say like, I am your boss. It, like if if you
And
have
what
to
happens
say that,
next?
if you have to say that, then
You're not
you don't
very good at encouraging people to choose the path you wanted for them.
right. Yeah,
You're not very
exactly.
enticing or deliberate in your words. Yeah,
Right. So I
anger
mean,
is never needed. You can encourage people in other ways,
by
but
the way,
they're on an airplane. By the way, in that moment.
oh yeah. Oh, they're about to rob a bank. Is what they're
Oh,
about to
are they?
do. Yeah,
Completely
yeah,
confused in the
yeah.
situation. I thought that it was noisy. Oh, in the back of the truck.
Back of the truck. Yeah.
Right, right. You are right. Yes.
Speaking of Keanu's acting, there's something funny that I just love how people can take things and make a new art out of them. And these people did this for many years. It was called Point Break Live. Have you heard of this?
I have never heard of this. No.
So it's a piece of cult theater where they do the Point Break movie, but they pick an audience member from the audience to play the Johnny Utah part, and they just give him cue cards to read throughout to kind of simulate the acting and the lines that Keanu said. Um, And I've seen some
That
clips
is
of this.
so demeaning to the performance of Keanu Reeves that it's like an overabundance of reductiveness that I don't. What other movie has actually been reduced to a level of like, it doesn't even matter who the fuck shows up on any given night. We're going to give cue cards to somebody maybe that hasn't even acted. And maybe there's like a breaking the fourth wall that actually happens that you and I don't know about. I don't know. But the fact is, somebody is so confident. This is so outrageous. The first time I ever hearing this, by the way, that somebody can just show up with cue cards that has never acted potentially and pull it off. But I think
Yeah.
I think I agree. It could work. I agree.
I mean, I
But
think the whole
I'm not trying to be reductive or reducing the performance of Keanu Reeves, but I guess I am at the same time, quantifiably.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty brilliant, and I wish they still did it because you can watch clips on YouTube of like the plays and stuff like that. It's pretty great. Um, but anyways, this movie was originally going to be called Johnny Utah, and they felt that it didn't really resonate with what the movie was about. No shit.
Football. Yeah, yeah.
And then it was going to be Riders on the Storm, like after the famous song by the Doors. But
Oh,
then they
thank you for that.
then they looked at the lyrics and they said this has nothing to do with what we're trying to make. And so
Yeah.
they like halfway through the filmmaking process they chose Point Break. So surfing term.
And that was a very good choice. I mean, I know a fair amount of surfers as you do. Well, Kenny. I mean, Kenny is I wouldn't consider him like a diehard surfer, but no, he's pretty diehard. I mean, he literally goes to surf competitions in Hawaii. That's pretty diehard in my opinion. But I mean, this is his like number one jam for a movie in terms of like surfing. I mean, I guess what other surfing movies are there in terms of like?
Endless Summer.
I've never seen that. Yeah.
There's some other ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do too much
There's
research
one.
on that.
There's one other. I mean, other than like surfing, like promotional movies, there's not a lot. But I will actually tell you a quote that I actually very much enjoyed. Right, I have two of them actually. My voice is starting to go, so I will have hopefully be able to pull this off. But we stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeway in their coffin, we show them the human spirit is still alive. And
This was never about money for us. It was about us against the system. That system that kills the human spirit. We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive.
That's probably my favorite in the movie. Like,
it's my favorite. And it
yeah.
actually does make sense. I think though, when you have a particular lifestyle or an upbringing, you're probably going to consider that to be an option in your life, of robbing banks and 30, one a month effectively over 3 years. You have to choose. You don't have to choose. You're either going to choose like to be a bad person, or you have to choose to be a good person who is doing bad things, which is the whole crew of the presidents. And I think they just had to agree that to some extent they're good people doing bad things. And I think at the end, most of them started to have this realization that they were actually, maybe I'm actually a bad person, also doing bad things. But I don't think Patrick Swayze was actually in that boat just yet. And maybe he was on the beach in the final fight scene, but I don't think he was there yet.
He wasn't there because they weren't doing like bank robbery. The type that they were doing, it wasn't a violent crime, and it was more kind of like that Robin Hood, like steal from the rich.
Yeah.
They gave it to themselves, but it would have been cool if like they donated some money to like a nonprofit or something like that, just to kind of
You
feel
big dork. God damn it.
just to,
Of course.
just
You're
just
the type
to
of person that would flick somebody off of you after you pass them on the street. Come on. That's ridiculous.
make a wish or something like that.
Bank robbers. You have to give money to the poor. Oh God. Just
Do
spend
people
it all on your yacht.
Do people rob banks anymore? Is that a thing? I don't see it in
Do you want
headlines.
to? What would you do if you had to rob a bank? Like, what would your first reconnaissance mission like be? Like, I'm gonna go into the teller.
My first recon, I would open up a account with him just to kind of like get the lay of the land, see it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'd probably set up a savings account and probably work for like 20 years, just kind of putting money in. So they'll never know. I'll never know.
Did not expect that response. That's fair. I would have no idea where to start, but nonetheless, I do have a second quote that I would like to share with you. Not as good as the first, but why be a servant to the law when you can be its master? And to be fair, the totality of that quote makes a lot of sense, but it also is being said by somebody, in my opinion, who's just really fucking stupid. Because, like, if you really break that quote down, why be a servant to the law? Great. When you can be its master, basically, if you were to be its master, you would go into politics to try to change the laws if you were a rational human being. But he's basically saying, we're just going to break all of the laws. So we're not going to be a servant. And the only way to do this is to basically break all of them and effectively, steal from the rich and give to the poor, which I guess they're poor. And I guess they're funding
poor.
they're funding their travels, if you will.
I don't think they have a 401k, to be honest.
That's offensive. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? One last quote that I'll play that it was part of Bodhi's speech as well around the campfire.
If you want the ultimate, you gotta be willing to pay the ultimate price. It's not tragic to die doing what you love.
Got that on the t-shirt. It's not tragic dying doing what you love. That's one of my favorite quotes too.
It's
and it sets it up. It sets up the movie. Obviously, it's a little red herring.
Yeah, no, it's good because I was on this hill that you can probably not. You can, yeah, like this hill right here.
Yeah,
so
I see
it. Doesn't look very large, but it's extremely large. We're at the top, and it goes down to the bottom. And so when you're talking about, it's not tragic doing what you love. I love running. I've not taken a day off in almost 6 years, 1980 days in a row or something along those lines. And I was thinking as I'm running, if I had a heart attack in this heat and humidity here recently, because I had a 6-mile tempo run on Friday, and I was like, they would be tragic. And I do love doing this, so I don't agree with that quote. I understand the sentiment around it, like it's not tragic, doing what you love. It's more like it's more of a movie quote that if you actually break down,
Yeah, like what if you
like a jerk off moment, basically.
Yeah, like what if you really love chess? I don't see how you die from that. I don't know.
If you're dying from Queen, oh
yeah, see,
dead
fatality.
But guys, it's not tragic. He was doing what he loved. Okay,
he's doing what he loved.
He really loved it. There's no tragedy here.
He was an 18-year-old prodigy, 13-year-old prodigy.
He's only 13. It's okay. There's no tragedy. We're not going to even have a funeral. Don't even think about him again for the rest of your life. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Anyway, it's a very 90s, late 80s, even all of the 80s, and early 90s movie quote, I would say. I still like it, with that said. But it's a very in poetry, I don't, you're an English minor, but like in poetry, the first thing that or in any writing for that matter, like you're told not to show it, or you're not supposed to tell it. You're supposed to just show it.
Yeah. Speaking of
through emotion and feeling.
Speaking of poetry, this is kind of funny that you mentioned that. This was the first time I've ever really tried Chat GPT, but I put in Chat GPT. I was playing around with it, and I got to this point where I was like, I'm going to ask him this question. It's like, Chat GPT, can you write me a limerick about the movie Point Break? And like that,
Yeah.
it was made.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
In Point Break, the waves crash with might, where surfers dare chase dreams in flight. Utah joins the fray, but will he betray as Bodhi leads into the night's height? It's pretty good.
It's so ridiculous.
Don't worry, I have one for the beach as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know what I was going to do. I don't know what to say about that other than the fact of I'm getting eaten alive here, definitely on my legs. I had these like mites are just like beastly. But good limerick, ChatGPT. I have used it in significant proportions to my existence. But why don't we go to the beach? My voice is crackling and I am smackling and I don't have
I'd
a
love to
limerick.
take a journey to the beach with you, Jonathan. Let's go.
So I will frame this as best as I can. I admittingly was going to actually use this for our second episode, and the second episode I do believe was guilty pleasures, but it didn't qualify or quantify, both qualify and quantify numbers wise in Rotten Tomatoes. It's 21%,
Is
and
that
we had to
low?
get it is that low. Yes, after rewatching it again, I've always disagreed with when I first watched it. I think it was like 13%, and so it went slightly up. But for whatever reason, it actually um, didn't do too well in any way, shape, or form. And I purposely chose this one in this movie primarily because not for an argument's sake, because I don't think it's the best movie in the world in terms of relation to what a beach is or a beach isn't or a beach movie and the theme. But I actually like for me personally, honestly, like defined who I am as a human being. And some of the quotes, while cheesy as well, for the age I was in. And if you were to say like, I mean, Point Break quotes, for example, I'm just making fun of. Like for a time in your life, if you were to actually hear some of them, they're very impactful. At least they were to me. And I think I actually was fairly unintelligent at the time, but nonetheless, I actually very much appreciated the quotes and the simplicity and also the pervasiveness that actually like kind of yielded my own life to deviate from the Georgia, if you will. But with that in mind, the beach, 119 minutes. By the way, if we can get a clip of that spiel, I would love it. Danny Boyle is the director. It's rated R. It came out in 2000. Adventure drama. 21% Rotten Tomatoes, 6.6 on IMDb. 50 million budget with 144 million in the box office.
That's pretty good.
And yeah, it's pretty good. And
Yeah.
the synopsis very quickly: the desire to find something real, to connect with something or someone, is what drives Leonardo DiCaprio, whose character is Richard, a young American backpacker who arrives in Thailand with adventure on his mind. Etienne and Francois join him on an adventure to the beach, a mystical paradise. And basically, fun things happen from there. But the idea, for me at least, there's a lot of dogs and pit
I
bulls
heard a
around here,
dog.
by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Um, there's like 20 roosters, but they're probably tucked away. The idea of my book that includes you, Shoulder to the Wheel, actually, I would say is contingent, at least minimally, but influenced significantly by the beach and the idea of just getting away from your normal life. And I think everyone at some point, maybe in college or maybe I mean my mom, for example, like my mom when she was in Colorado, went to grad school in Colorado at UC Boulder and went back and was with my father and they got divorced and eventually like she was I don't like I'm Norwegian, I don't like the humidity of Florida and I'm going to move back to Colorado. In that moment, it's that feeling that I have watching the beach. And I understand it's not the best movie in the world, but to me it's like still like very very wanderlust is something that will get us all. And if you allow it to get us. And if your soul is dead, and I have friends and family that I actually like don't like to travel, then it's a different story. I mean, I don't have much to tell you there, but I'm somebody that has been highly influenced by this movie in particular. My desire to travel and my sister's desire to travel to try to see what is potentially out there. And some of the quotes are cheesy again, but like honestly, like this movie, the directing could have been better, I think, but really touching. Honestly, like still to this day, I very much appreciate the beach. Um, and I'm getting well ahead of myself. But I've actually been to the beach where they filmed it, primarily
That's
because
amazing.
how much it influenced me, and I was like, it's even actually more wild in person. It's an inspirational to film, like Robinson Crusoe, for example. You ever seen Robinson Crusoe?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love that movie, and the idea of it is actually probably much cooler. Like I've been on St. Thomas for like, I don't know, 4 days now, fifth day tomorrow, and I'm like, okay, I can. And we're in an Airbnb as well with a pool and the beach behind us. I'm like, I think we're
You,
done. We're
you've got it
good.
made. Yeah.
We do,
You
yeah,
start.
yeah. We're not in a tree fort, and
Yeah.
we don't have to scrounge for our food. You know?
And take a 2-hour boat ride to the mainland to pick up batteries and cigarettes and whatnot.
Yeah, it's something that's going to be a temporary like tree fort, basically. But I will share a few of the quotes that were I very much appreciated. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say when I was doing my research for this movie, it was I was very surprised to see what this movie was based off of, and it was a book by Alex Garland, who he's kind of been in the news and topics lately, and I've really appreciated some of
Really, for
the
what?
well, he became a director, and he's been
Oh
directing movies for the
wow,
past 10 years. He did Ex Machina. Um, he
what?
did Yeah, he did that. He did this new movie that just came out called Civil War.
Oh
He
yeah,
made Annihilation. He wrote the movie
what?
Sunshine with Danny Boyle. 28 Days Later, he wrote. Yeah,
I don't
pretty
know what's
impressive.
happening right now. I haven't had time to actually do the trivia to see what's happening in real life. But like, oh my god, that my mind is blown because like adaptation, Annihilation. Is that Natalie Portman?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, terrific movie. But like, I could actually go back to watch that. Like, I have no idea like what actually like. There's so many like interpretations of that movie in my head while it was happening. I was like, this could be like 7,000 different things. But I had no idea that he was the brainchild behind that. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. It's pretty cool because
But that's
he
what
wrote
happens
this.
with Wanderlust.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote this book when he was kind of backpacking through Southeast Asia. I think he was in the Philippines at the time, and he like saw this beach. And although this beach in the movie is where Thailand, is that correct?
Yeah, Thailand. Yeah, yeah, Phi Phi Lay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Phi Phi Don and
Um,
Phi Phi Lay are like the two islands that are closest to each other that are off the coast of Phuket.
yeah. But it was cool to find that out, and um, I also, yeah, about you, like you've probably traveled to more countries than probably anybody that I know. How do you have a count of countries that you've actually traveled to?
Yeah, I mean, I have a list of everything. Like my favorite songs, my favorite movies, as you know, my favorite, pretty much like restaurants. It depends on what you define as a country, but like St. Thomas was, I don't know if you consider this a country, but it's like U.S. Virgin Islands. So like, if you define this as a country, then probably 75. But if you take like Bermuda and St. Thomas out, and I don't know, even North Korea. I'm into North Korea as well, but like if you take out like countries like that, probably 10 less, something like that.
Do you count? Because I've debated this with some people. If you have a layover in a country and you actually don't step out of the airport, have you been to that country?
That's tough. It's
I say
tough.
I say no.
Really?
Yeah, so I
I
I,
mean,
I was
I've been to Dubai twice, or three times. Once with my wife and two other, no, maybe twice. I can't even remember at the moment. But I went for the first time, and I had a layover. Oh wait. I think your second point was you don't get out.
you don't get out of the airport.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then
You can have a layover, but like you have to go through customs. You have to get
I
out.
can
And
I can see like somebody having a debate saying you got your stamp. Like I've been to Tahiti, but I've never been to Tahiti.
how's that?
I went to the Tahiti airport. Like I didn't go. I did go through customs, but I didn't like go out to the land.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel
But
like you have to.
yeah, I don't. I mean, I guess there's like a differentiation between like countries you've like gotten through customs and the countries you haven't. But there's also like a debate to be had. Somebody who's here actually, Nanny, who is supposed to be our guest today. He has a brother, a half brother, that went on a trip with me in 2010. We randomly were on a trip together, and he couldn't get off the boat, but he was allowed kind of into Israel. He's Pakistani, and is that, did he go to Israel? Did he not go to Israel? I don't know. Possibly, but it's a weird situation. But I think I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It depends on the airport, really, when it comes down to it. Probably.
Fair. I
Like,
got you.
I mean, you're landing in the country.
Yeah.
I think of it like a lawyer. So like my wife would be like, yeah, of course, you've been to that country.
But
Like, you
spiritually,
landed
you
there.
really haven't.
Yeah,
You
but
haven't experienced it.
that's not the lay of the land. Ooh, actually, we should actually talk to a lawyer about this to quantify, to qualify, to quantify whether or not you've actually been to a country. There's got to be a rule set from like the 186 actual countries you've been to. I bet there's a definition.
I can see that.
But nonetheless, I have a quote
Go
in the
for
very
it.
beginning of it, and it's a very Danny Boyle quote in that where dollars and Deutschmarks get turned into counterfeit watches and genuine scars.
I think
And
I
it's
have
one of
that clip.
those. Do you?
Yeah, let's play it.
I'll be fine. I found my own place, thanks.
Where you are, man?
And this is it. Bangkok, Good Time City, gateway to Southeast Asia, where dollars and Deutschmarks get turned into counterfeit watches and genuine scars.
Good time, boy, girl, bucking. No
This is where the hungry come to feed.
You wanna drink snake blood?
Wait a minute. Did you say snake blood?
Oh, yeah.
It's so like listening to it. I don't know. Like there's definitely this wanderlust inside of me that it gets piqued by the interest of this movie and the quotes of the movie. Like for this, because I'm like, Milton Brandon, very close friend of ours. He got struck by this bug as well. We watched this movie together. And it makes me like. Have you ever had snake blood, by the way?
No, I've never had it offered to me in such a way that that yeah.
I've never had. Just to be clear, I've never had snake blood, but I actually have. So I lived in. I wanted to get as far away from Georgia as humanly possible after graduation, as you know, and so I moved to Korea, and then Milt moved there as well with Mikey, and in the process, I don't know why Milt and Mikey didn't come with me, but I went to North Korea probably sometime in 2007, I think February or March, and it was like this stationed event. I mean, it was weird, to be honest with you. Like I got held, not hostage, but like I was trying to take a picture of a mural of Kim Jong Un and his father, and it was it for a white. It's like talk about white privilege. Like this is a moment where I'm glad I did not get shot, because somebody like a year later actually did get shot, and they shut these entire like thing down. Whatever this thing
Wow.
was. Yeah, and so I was taking a picture of this mural. I actually legitimately I don't want to show it because it has my ex-girlfriend there, but we can probably Photoshop her out. But like I was trying to take a picture of this mural that was probably 20 feet tall, and I just walk out of my hotel. I walk down. I have these ripped jeans, and if memory serves, I have this white shirt with spiked hair, and I even think I have dyed frosted tips. And I try to take this picture. I still have the camera, and I hear this screaming, and also like a man running, but then another two men came after, screaming. And at the time, my Korean was extremely minimal, but I was being pointed at by three guns, and I had no idea what was happening. And then my ex-girlfriend was like coming down out of the stairs of the hotel, and she was able to speak Korean fluently, and talked him off a ledge, and I was not shot, luckily. And the picture afterwards, which was just very hilarious because it looks like something is maybe wrong with me because like the smile on my face, I was like, that was amazing. But also like I was like, I'm alive. I don't know. I still don't know. But it was probably the scariest moment in my entire life. Full stop.
That's
Um,
crazy. That's crazy. Why? I mean, why are they upset at you for taking a picture? Are you not supposed to? Like, is that like
yeah,
forbidden?
yeah. So this is where the white privilege comes in. Before the entire trip, they prep you. They're like, if you want to take a picture, basically you can take a picture of anything if you're looking out to the sea. So like if you're looking at the ocean, like basically you can't get reconnaissance of any capacity, and so
Right.
you just take a picture of whatever you like, and it doesn't matter. There's no islands or whatever it might be there, and so I was trying to take a picture of something that you shouldn't be taking a picture of, I guess. And I was like, "There's nobody here. Like, I can take a picture. White privilege." And then yeah,
They're watching you.
I thought I
They're
was gonna
watching.
get boy. I'm sure they were watching us. We also in that hotel, we got a I don't know what even to call it, but the fish basically go to your feet and they chow
They
down
clean
on your
it.
feet. Yeah, they clean it. And I remember at the very beginning there were these other like Koreans who were traveling. I was this was being translated by my ex-girlfriend. And they weren't coming to my feet. And the Koreans were telling each other like, "Oh, they don't like his feet because he's white." I was like, "That's so funny."
Those fish are
That's
those fish are
that's
racist, man.
they're not used to his white feet. I was like, "That's so
Probably had a
hilarious."
funky smell too.
It probably did actually. Too much running.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Wow.
to going back to snake blood. I haven't had snake blood, but I have had um in that exact same trip. This is a trip, by the way. I'm being like propelled against by all these types of bugs in the Caribbean here. Um, I had a snake bottle that was in liquor. I don't know what the liquor was, but it was the most disgusting liquor I've ever had. So I have a picture of it. I actually remind me. I need to send it to you so you can put this on the your editing skills. It was fantastic. But with that said, there was a man who also went with me, who was an expat that traveled to North Korea. And these are the stories I actually like about this podcast because like we're not talking about the beach, but we are talking about things that I actually influence you like significantly to
Yeah.
make me want to move to Korea, to make me want to go to North Korea. And there's a bottle and it had a snake inside of it, but it was like, it was a liter bottle. And I was like, I'm going to buy this clearly because like, why would
Never
you,
seen something like that.
have you ever seen a snake in a bottle that had alcohol? I want to buy this. So I bought it. And then another guy, I was like, you got to buy this. Like, like I can be very encouraging of like ridiculous ideas if I have them. And so he bought it as well. And as we're going through like the security, which is the most lax thing ever, they moved his bag, but they moved it like a little too aggressively and broke
Oh
and
wow.
broke the bottle, and the snake fell out, and he had like his laptop and like he had all
Talk
this
about
shit.
like the worst thing to break at
Yeah,
that
it's
at that
terrible.
moment.
But but I did take a taste of the snake liquor, and it was absolutely hideous and disgusting. And I actually left it for Milt when he was leaving Korea because I left it under the sink because I didn't want to drink it again. And I go, just promise me the only thing before you leave Korea is you will take a shot of this. And so him and Mikey actually, well, I don't know if Mikey did. I did definitely confirm that Milt did, but Milt took a shot of this snake liquor because he promised me he'd do it, and it's terrible. It's no good. With that said, the 20-minute long story here of like how we got to snake blood, and I don't even like go into the actual movie itself, but love it. It's fantastic.
That's all right. That's kind of what like you said this should be about. Like, yeah, we're gonna talk about the movie, but it's
No, we're
also
not.
it's also
We're not. We're not really going to talk about this movie. The movie itself is basically somebody with wanderlust at a very early age in their life, and I'm just probably talking from experience at this point, who wants to see the world and actually wants to embrace what is out there and challenge themselves to not only travel but also like you and I did. We went to Canada, traveled 3,333 miles in like a week's time, and saw what we thought at the time was our world. And then like soon after, like Kenny and I, we wanted to travel the world as well. And we went to Europe for 36 days. And then I was like, I need more of this. I'm like a crackhead. And so I wanted to move to Korea. But it was really um, contingent upon this movie, honestly. Like it really influenced me greatly in that the cheesiness of it from times, honestly. I understand that it is actually cheesy, but the quotes, for example, are you ready for a quote? I don't know if you have this.
I probably have it. The one that you
You
sent me,
probably
yeah.
do have it. Yeah. And
Heard it.
it's like so yeah, I just feel like everyone tries to do something different, but they wind up doing the same damn thing.
I guess there's this urban myth going around here at the moment. It's about a beach.
The secret beach.
On an island that no one can get to.
Somewhere, paradise must exist.
I just feel like everyone tries to do something different, but they always wind up doing the same damn thing.
1 kilometer.
2.
Richard? I don't know. I'm thinking miles, not kilometers. I'm American. So let's go.
I could only find that quote from the trailer. So
Yeah, yeah, sorry. That's hysterical. It's so I don't know. Like I don't know why this movie gets like me in the feelings. Like it's so emotional. Like the like forcing somebody to travel, I think is very important. It's something I do with my daughter. It's something that is an insignificant side of things to a movie that is like you know probably Leo. If you take a top 10 of Leo's, it's clearly not in his top 10 repertoire.
no,
But it
no.
is for me. Um, just so there's little like minutia that I really appreciate. Maybe that I stick to a little more kindly than others. Like Daffy, who gets he kills
Here's the
himself.
crazed lunatic at the beginning that just came off the island. He was one of the
The way he
original.
the way he shakes his hand, Leo's hand, Richard's hand. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like through the screen, and then you don't see his
Mhm.
head. I'm like, I don't know why I love this, but I love this. That's amazing. But yeah, it actually is true. Like you want to. I mean, we're here with people now that, frankly, and I myself am probably one of them to some extent. You travel, and you want to embrace exactly kind of who you are in your own comfort zone. And I think that this movie is something that is well outside of anyone's comfort zone. And I think that it's good for people to push the boundaries and push themselves to try something new.
Well, that's the thing about traveling, and that's kind of the thing about like this movie is like you you travel and you learn things about yourself that you didn't know. Maybe things that
Yeah.
you thought you weren't capable of, like talking to strangers and making friends or whatever it is. Um, it teaches you something about yourself and about like the the world at large that you probably didn't know as well. Um, like for instance, like Leo's character Richard, he meets the this other young couple. I forget the names of the actors, but Francoise and
Yeah.
who's
They're
absolutely
they're
beautiful, by the
French.
way. Yeah, she's
You
gorgeous.
like her?
Yeah, I was thinking about like this movie. I'm like, she is one of the most attractive people I have seen in a
Wow.
film. Yeah, yeah. But
You should
anyways,
move to Montreal.
see the French girls. Yeah, but you learn something about yourself, and you learn something about like how the world works and how different cultures are, and like I could never imagine like this scenario where you meet this couple and the girl starts falling for you, and the guy's like, "Hey, I just want her to be happy. Like, go with her." Like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
there's not gonna be a love triangle here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like is that culturally a French thing? Like, is that just kind of like, a different mindset to have? But you would think like he would be like, I'm gonna fight for her, I'm gonna win her, but he just kind of says no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think if you're in that mindset of you're doing whatever, you would be as him, like we're free. Like polygamous or whatever it might be, like I think you're pretty open. With that being said. But then again, that's not me. I would never think like that. Maybe because only, my wife, but I don't think I would think like that, but maybe at an early age, it'd be preferable. I don't know, but I will
It's
say this: do you think in miles or kilometers? By the way,
it depends, but 90% of the time, I'm going to be generous. 90% of the time, it's going to be miles.
really,
Yeah. Yeah.
90?
Unless
Wow.
it's Thanksgiving and I'm getting up really early and lacing up my running shoes, then I'm thinking in miles.
Wow.
Or I'm
Um,
watching the Olympics. But I mean,
so I
when people say a marathon, they're saying 26.2 miles. They're not saying because you know we're Americans.
42 kilometers.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you?
Huh.
I'm sure you do a little bit of both, right?
So when I do Google Maps, it's automatically in miles. So I'm forced to think in miles. But when I'm abroad and it's like in kilometers, I can easily convert. As you definitely can, being a runner, like convert the translation. But if I tell somebody like I don't know, like this to that house, you know, that's actually, I don't know from like point A to
600
point B. To
meters.
be honest, no, no, I actually don't. As the flow cries, as the crow flies, I have no idea. Now I think about it.
Well, I can't really see
It's
anything
it's a
anyway,
it's a
so
fifth. It's a 15. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. It's a 15-minute run. I don't know how long it would be, but I I would say more of like a 50-50 for sure. Um, if I see something in the street, I'm like, this is like 100 meters. This is 50 meters. This is 150 meters. I don't think in yards. I don't think in feet. Definitely don't think in feet. Do you think of feet?
no, only when I'm ordering something from Subway, but that's about it.
What do you like, Jesse Sommelier? Anyway, so by the way,
Meatball sub.
I took a very similar journey actually when I went to Thailand in 2007,
So
which
this
was very.
beach, you can't. I don't think you can go to now, or it was closed for a long time to the public because it was just being overrun by tourists, which is kind of funny and apropos to what this whole movie is about, aka you. But you were one of the earlier vagabonds to travel there.
I don't think I was that early. I mean, 2000. This movie came out in 2000 or 2001. Like people started going there, but 2007, I did travel there. There was no shutdown, and it wasn't dirty, but it was filled with. It was apropos. Like it was very.
How did you
You get
get
the
there?
Yeah. So you go to PP Don, and then you actually have to take a boat. PP Don was more fantastic. I mean, they had like tattoo shops. One of my favorite places on earth, honestly. And for $12, the two of
I
us
like the
had.
name.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
That's
good name.
fascinating. Um, and for $12, we had like filet mignon, had like dessert, had drinks, it had everything, and I was like, this is the best place in the world. And that's where I was like, wow, even the in the movie of like you go here and it's like so cheap, but like very rewarding and like a good experience. It was a lot of fun. And then we took a boat from Don to Lay, um, which is where the beach was filmed. Which I think they actually did Photoshop in 2000, like of, or maybe not Photoshop, but they like the way it looked in the.
They added in CGI mountains to make it kind of more of a blocked
Yeah, because
off.
I was like, when I went there in person, I was like, this is not the same beach, or I didn't know that time, at least the factoid, if you will. I'm getting destroyed by creatures in over yonder, but
It's
nonetheless,
okay.
it's so much so that I'm having to say it. But it was honestly, the beach was fantastic. I have a bunch of pictures that we'll also have to Photoshop my ex girlfriend out of, but it was like no lie. Maybe it was just an over exuberance or an over happiness of the movie itself and making me want to travel, and therefore I'm actually literally at this place and apropos of a situation. But like it was very affecting, strangely enough, where I'm on this beach, like they filmed it on this beach for this idea of wanderlust and travel, and the thought of like Robinson Crusoe, which I had read and seen the movie of, and my mom loved for a long period of time. And I don't know. To me, even with like, God, there was a lot of people, like 500 people there. I still was like, this is like, if nobody was here, this would be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And if you were to like create a habitation like they did, it'd be pretty fucking cool. But I think that goes away.
And
For
it and
me
it
at
show
least.
well, and it shows that kind of I feel like in the movie too, because like when Tilda Swinton's character Sal and Richard have to make a trek to the mainland, like everybody is hitting them up for what they want back from the mainland.
Yeah.
It's this consumerism and this need for these things that they. I mean, why do you need batteries on a beach, man? Why do
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
like these certain
Yeah.
things? Like you're living in paradise, but they have this like attachment that they can't let go of. And I thought that was kind of it played into the themes of like, yeah, they're trying to live as these like Robinson Crusoe, very idyllic society, but no, they
Yeah.
still like those trappings. They still like those little comforts. Uh,
We all do.
so
And it's all fun and games until your dream gets shattered. Because like, I mean, that's really what this is. I mean, you like the idea of going to this island. You like the idea of this swimming 2 kilometers or 1 kilometer, and you like this idea. People like ideas. They like to talk about the idea of things. But when it comes down to it, um, if this actually were an existence of an island that was off the coast of some random place where they actually found a random map, would you do it?
it seems very romantic. Yeah, it seems like something that in my probably younger years I would try and give it a shot, but
You
it's
wouldn't.
no, I probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't
I probably
either.
would. I probably wouldn't. But you know what? It's like two things. Like nothing gold lasts forever. I have some of these quotes that have been floating in my head, not from the movie per se, but just things that are said.
Yeah.
Um, and also, like, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. Um, and that's like a big thing here. But also, one that's kind of in this movie that like really stuck with me when I first watched it and it hit me again the second time or whatever, however many times I've been watching it since, was this out of sight, out of mind kind of ideal, especially
Yeah.
with the Swede who gets bitten by a shark and doesn't
Yeah.
die right away.
Yeah.
That's like what like people can go on with their lives be just because they don't hear the screams and of these people. That maybe that's why they went to this beach in the first place because they couldn't deal with what everything else was going on. It's just it's
How would you deal with that situation though? So I'll frame this differently. You're on an island. You are not wanting to be found by other people, and therefore you have sworn a part of you to secrecy. So if somebody dies, naturally, you being found out is the worst case scenario. What would you do? You do the same thing, would you
yeah.
not?
I
I
mean,
mean, you're there at that island to begin with, so therefore, I that it made a lot of sense to me. I mean, it's like
but
very logical.
would you fight against the idea of putting this person out to pasture while he dies so we don't hear the screams?
I would just kill him.
Just because he's gonna die anyways.
Yeah, if we are you, I mean, again, we talked about this. Like, if that person has been sent away, just kill them. Why not? Like, make them
I,
suffer. Like you like if you hit a deer and the deer is like crippled and in
no,
your
you shoot him
car,
in the head.
like
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
talking about a deer.
So you're talking about a person on an island, which is effectively a deer. And also, like, by the way, the fact that there's this weed island, like a weed island, that's not the way that you grow weed. First of all, like
Hey
that.
man, this is how they grow weed. You
So
know?
anyway, Richard finds himself on an island. On the island, he has had sex with Sal. He has also disrupted the Frenchies, and he is off in his own video game world. and trying to live his life. His prefrontal cortex is
Not
not yet
fully formed.
not fully formed, but I do like another quote, by the way.
Yeah, hit me.
In love, like grief, tends to fade away and turns into something more exciting, which I couldn't agree more with. I'll
Say
say it
that again.
again.
Love like grief tends to
Love,
fade away.
like grief, tends to fade away and turns into something more exciting.
What
And
does it turn
that's
into?
for him. I don't know because we don't see what he does next. But to me, basically, I mean, if I were to like simplify this point, love is more important than any other emotion in life, and it will make you do like better things. But it does fade away, and also your first love does fade away. Um, but it turns into something more exciting. Your second love, your third love, your fourth love, and whatever that's about to you in terms of love. Maybe that's the love of food. Maybe that's the love of anything, um, or the love of travel. It's pretty cool. But nonetheless, overall, I'm getting smacked in the face with bugs. I really like the beach and I really enjoy it and I wanted to do the beach in terms of my favorite guilty pleasure and it was my go to because it always is my go to of like what's the most underrated movie of all time and it's of all time it's that movie. I love it and I will stand by it, but it's I will also stand by the fact that I don't think it's the greatest
Here's here's my
directing.
here's my kind of
Yeah,
nitpick with it is
yeah,
the movie is like you're invested in it. You're invested in these characters. It's good. There's
yeah, yeah,
got some good quotes. Very like cool imagery, and obviously because of the location.
yeah, yeah,
Where it kind of lost me the first time, still kind of lost me the second time again. It's where Leo goes into isolation basically and has to look through his
yeah,
binoculars. Yeah, you
yeah,
do
yeah.
get the video game scene. Do get like that, but it's like it almost felt like him being away from the group where he's kind of turning into that Daffy character, losing his mind a little
Yeah.
bit.
He's on an
I didn't
island on an island.
on
That's what I
Island
said.
Fever. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, yeah.
I felt like it just felt a little heavy-handed and it didn't really serve the plot too much. Where I think staying with the original people that he was surrounded with,
Yeah.
I wanted more of that. I wanted more
You wanted
of
more of
that.
the Robinson Crusoe.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
politics involved in that
It's too
situation
much.
with Sal being the leader and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
I would agree. I actually have one final question for you before we go into the ratings. And so
sure.
it's very serious question.
Okay.
So
Straighten my
as the creator of and this is in the framing of this is like the last picture on the laptop of the beach and you're opening up the images and like you're 56K and it's like trying to download that. And
yeah.
so as the creator of a very prolific web page as you of Midair Don't Care, I'm curious as to like how did you think their Midair Don't Care picture turned out?
I mean, that final scene, it brings you back to a time period that just doesn't exist anymore,
Yeah,
obviously, of like dial-up
to-
modems and like
totally.
not not being able to I mean, just these it's just downloading things on the internet, man. A picture.
Have you
That's
ever
pretty good.
jumped into the air and tried to get somebody to take your picture
I
and
have
not
not.
caring? You
I've
haven't?
I have
Never?
no. I'm always behind the camera, or I'm the one taking screenshots of things that I find. But I'm not a
What
jumper in
made
the
you
air.
want to? What made you want to make a page about midair don't care?
So I haven't posted it in quite a long time, but yeah, it's an Instagram thing. Mid air don't care. Basically, it was my days being single in LA. I
Say it. You've
was
done
going
it
through
enough.
Tinder, going through Tinder, and I noticed a theme. And this theme was there was a lot of girls that just had these like how like they stand behind a building, there's butterfly wings painted on there. They also
I
do this
do.
thing where they jump in the air and ask for somebody to take a picture of them. And I just found it funny. And there were so many different variations of it. Yeah, it's one of
But
those
you
things.
haven't recreated it. We should go to the beach right now and take a picture of us doing midair. Don't care.
I'll fly to Trinidad and Tobago where you're
We
at.
don't have to be together. We'll Photoshop each other. You go to wherever the closest beach is to you. I'll go to the one behind me, and we'll do
Yeah,
this
I go to
right
Santa Cruz.
now.
Well, it's a little dark.
It's a little dark here as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, let's rate these
Let's do it, man.
because this is well beyond my capacity. So Point Break, let's do first because you did Point Break first. So I think to me Point Break was it was a much better movie overall. But I knew that to begin with. Oh boy, I have screwed the pooch. So
That's all right.
You have to do it first. Best performance. What would you think?
I gave it a 85 mainly because of Patrick Swayze. I just felt like he was perfectly cast as Bodhi.
Yeah,
And then Keanu Reeves, like Catherine Bigelow, basically put her foot down and said, if I can't get Keanu Reeves to play this part, then I'm not going to direct the movie. Other people that were floated was like Johnny Depp and Matthew Broderick. But
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick, yeah, he was
That would be
floated
terrible.
on it. Yeah, I think so too.
Johnny Depp would be all right. He'd be good at
He
that
was the
moment.
bigger,
He'd be very good.
he was the bigger actor at the time. Yeah.
But Keanu is perfect.
Yeah. So I gave it 85.
What'd you give?
Like,
oh, nice.
I gave it. Yeah, it was. I rounded up for this one.
I got an 80. I did think the performance was good for the early age of the characters. They have given better performances, I would say. But Patrick Swayze actually crushed. Like his character, I thought, in and out of exactly what he was doing in the encouragement. Like I actually was just rolling with Patrick Swayze. Like, why is Keanu doing this? Like, oh, he should be doing this. Like, yes, that's how you know you have a pretty good character built.
Yeah, it was believable. But also, and this is kind of going off topic, but Keanu Reeves, like he didn't know how to surf before this movie, but after making this film, he's incorporated surfing into his life. Like he still does surf to
That
this
makes
day.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about impactful movies on your lives. Wow. Best quote, I gave it a 90. I thought some of those quotes that we played earlier, mainly from Bodhi, because he was the spiritual guru and kind of his little outlook on life kind of lent those quotes some levity.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 90 as well. Same. I mean,
cool.
I thought the quotes, while slightly cheesy, are very similar to the beach. I mean, I guess all beach quotes are similar, but Jack Johnson has very uplifting songs.
Yeah.
Beach songs are great, but yeah, the quotes I thought were lovely.
Yeah.
Fight the man.
Score, I gave it 80. I was actually, like I said, I do this thing where I listen to the soundtracks for a while. But some of the songs kind of actually annoyed me. It was basically kind of some of those early 90s rock jams and stuff like that. So
yeah,
but it fit the time period. It fit the mood. 80.
80 as well, primarily for the same reasons. I did get annoyed. There was nothing like that was created for this movie that was like a John Williams, like a Jaws. If
Right.
that were to be the beach, that would be like very, very significant. Like it would be 100. There's nothing pretty much better than that. It didn't have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about editing?
Editing, I thought it was solid. 80. It was cut really well. The action scenes, it was easy to kind of make out what was going on, especially like during the bank heists and the like not really great chase scene through the canals of Santa Monica or wherever that was. I thought it was really good.
80 as well. Yeah. Same.
I'm on the same page here. Screenplay writing.
Yeah.
Again, taking a crazy like idea of surfers robbing banks into a movie and making it actually good, even to stand the test of time. That was pretty good. So I gave it an 80.
I was shocked by this. The fact that like this would actually stand the test of time. Like I honestly, I'm still shocked. I came into it thinking Point Break was going to be like a disaster, um, and it was absolutely not a disaster. It you know I think Keanu was like still getting his acting chops. Patrick Swayze was like definitely well into his game, but um, in the rest of the characters, it had an '80s cheesy vibe in '91, but like and an '80s cheesy vibe, but nonetheless, it was pretty good. Still, it was surprised me, so I
Yeah,
gave him an 85.
85. And directing, solid directing all around from Catherine Bigelow. I thought she did well with what she had, and she made a fun pick. 85.
85 as well. Same. Yeah. So I'll go
Cool.
first.
Let's go down the beach.
The Beach. Best performance. I again like this. It's I understand why people give this a 21% overall. Um, but I don't. I think these are just like fat white people that are sitting behind computer screens critiquing movies. And that's good for some people, but
And
I think
also
that
watching it at a different time of their lives where,
sure,
you
that's
know,
what I was going to get to. Basically, like maybe there's something more meaningful in their own lives that I think would be less significant. Um, but with that said, I will rate this as a, and I'm trying to rate all of these movies more so, less of my own feelings than what I actually think. Um, but I'm,
okay.
but I'm
Okay.
still,
Okay.
but I,
You gave hundreds across the board for This Is Spinal Tap.
well, this is Spinal Tap is the only movie that I'll ever do that with. But by the way, I did I by the way, you and I agreed obsessively about almost every detail of Spinal Tap when I actually went to like rate it.
It's
I
true.
did a
It's
hundred.
true.
I did 110 as a joke, just to be clear
You
for all the
did.
viewers.
Yeah.
Um, but we're always going to disagree. I hope from time to time. But I'm trying to the best that I can to objectively give the best analysis, which looking at your scores, I completely disagree with. So, performance, I gave a 75. I don't think anyone really did that great of a job, to be fair. I think if if you had me in this role, I think I may be more exciting than Leo or anyone else, to be fair. Maybe not as like Daffy because he seemed like he was insane. Quite literally, I think he really put on a good performance. But 75 for performance.
Yeah, same. This is definitely like I appreciate Leo as an actor. There's some of his performances are like just gold for me. This one he did well, but it wasn't. This was coming right off of like 2 years after Titanic, but he didn't really make any movies since then. But so this was like peak like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like everybody knew who he was, and the fact that he like decides to do this movie, although first it was given to Ewan McGregor, um, but
Because of Train Spotting
yeah,
and Danny
yeah,
Boyle.
but yeah, I mean Leo did great, and I always love like a voiceover kind of explaining the
Me
character and
too.
things that are going on, like
Which
when it's
is
done well.
we should do the best like voiceover because I actually very much enjoy this. Like Amelie, like I very enjoy this type of setup. But most people don't, or like most people think it's like easy scripting, but it's not. It's
Leo
not at
does it a
all, in my
lot. I think
opinion.
he does it in Gangs of New York. He does it in a lot of movies too. So it's there's some
What was
good
your
movies
best
that do
quote?
it. Best quote, I gave it a 90. I think it was one of those one of the ones we played about.
Yeah, you wind up doing the same old damn thing.
That's it.
But I think the quotes themselves to me, I loved. I give it a 90 as well.
Yeah.
And the score, the music for me, it was very good and very centered to the effect of, or I guess the effect of the desire of the movie. But with that said, it had one song, and other than that one song, it didn't really have much.
Can I guess the song? Because it's probably why I gave it a 90.
Yeah, I mean it's a
Uh,
terrific song.
is it
Yeah,
Moby? Yeah,
yeah,
and it's the first time the main characters walk and see the beach,
Yeah.
And for them to like pick that song, which just came out pretty recently, like for them to pick that song of that time, like it just really cements that the the setting, the place, the time period of this movie perfectly.
I agree.
Perfectly.
But a movie set on one song is, or a movie set on one character is not. It's not going to be a great movie, in my opinion, or it could be like a good
I thought
movie.
Locke was pretty good, but that's just me.
Locke, Locke.
Yeah. That's a one man
What?
movie.
You should give up in your life right now. The best editing, and the best screenplay and the best directing. I actually went 75s all the way through. I just thought
I
it
went
was
80s all the way through.
yeah. I thought it was very basic. They're again, I'm rating it differently than my own emotions, and how it made me feel. But I think that it was good. Yeah, it was lovely. So.
That's the thing with like with cinema movies, all of it. It's like how do you walk out of the theater and what do you feel and what conversations do you have, or what conversations can you have 20 years after the movie with it? And it's pretty incredible, you know.
Yeah, we're sitting here on a beach. I'm getting bit up obsessively. I've lost my voice, and I don't know what else I'm gonna do for the
You got
rest
any
of
more
the
of those
night.
loggers?
My friend, I do. They're all done though. I wish I had more. Um, and hopefully my friends come back. It appears my wife is looking into the refrigerator, getting string cheese, but nonetheless, I don't.
Does she want to come
cheese.
say diddly squat on the podcast?
That's fair. She does not. She doesn't want to have anything to do with this. But hopefully in the future we will have a Batman. I am losing this. We're flying out tomorrow, and we did have a beach behind me, but not anymore. But nonetheless, it's been fun.
Been fun. Till next week.